Hey folks, Turtle Dog here, North Georgia morning, rainy morning. Gonna walk through the orchard and look at some of my persimmon trees and see what I can expect this fall. Uh, this tree I won't have fruit on. I grafted actually two different cultivars to it last year on I think that was my hachia, one of my hachias that froze out. It's Matsumoto Wasuyu, and I'm pretty sure the other half is one of my Rojo brand. I'll um, probably turn that to a simple cultivar. It wasn't really good to make a fork in a small tree like that. It'll probably give me problems later on, but that's what it is. Here's a graft I tried. I think that's died. I think that's rootstock. Um, here's a good tree I like. I cut out my Guyambo knot. It's a beautiful shaped tree, non-astringent. Um, which means it's not Guyambo and just fruits messed up on that one, but I'm fine with it. They made good with me, and I have a very good, nice tree here too. I think it's a Giro. I'm not sure. I probably never will be sure. Here's a shing tree. It's one of my largest trees here. My more mature trees are at my cabin location, which I've had longer. As far as foliage, it's a little different shape. It's more shaped like I guess I'd shape the tree to compare a tree to my Tamapan up at my cabin. Though it doesn't seem to put much fruit on if it doesn't get pollination that I've read. And the one year I did have a pollinator here, it did produce fruit. It did produce fruit this year, but it dropped them. I don't know if I really want to bring a pollinator into this part of my orchard without for just a couple trees though. So it's a nice tree. Boy, here's one of my Ikawa Jiros. It's a tree that just doesn't want to live for me. It's unfortunate because it's one of my favorite overall non-astringents. It's a really nice tree. I have a friend in Columbus, Georgia that quit growing all of the persimmons and just pretty much grows my Ikawa Jiro. But I don't know if it makes its mind whether it wants to live or die. Um, if it doesn't make up its mind, I'm A for it. Here's probably the tree I'm most excited about sea fruiting. Oh, though, now looking at that, I may not. There's still a few hanging on. This is a last year's graft of Rojo Brilliante. There's still a fruit hanging on, but the tree's growing really well. And what I really like about it, both trees I have leafed out really late, which has got me excited. That's my biggest problem around here. It's not my ultimate winter cold. It is the late spring frost. So maybe Rojo Brilliant will do all right for me. Hoping so. It's supposed to be a really good fruit, very similar to Hachio, which although very common is a very good fruit. This is How River. It's got a good fruit set on it. I kind of like it that it seems to almost doesn't really fruit set heavy, but puts on fruits. First, last year was the second year it fruited to me. It was really good. It pretty much went up in the class with Seijo and some of my favorites of the astringents. The year prior was kind of meh, but seems to be a larger growing tree as well. Here's a pretty little tree, Tananashi. I'm probably pronouncing half these things wrong. I probably can't spell them either, but it's dropping a lot of fruit, really sets fruit heavy. I think that's part of its problem. 2 years ago, it set fruit extremely heavy. It was branch breaking, and I had the branches supported somewhat, and the fruit was really bland. I dehydrated most of it, which tasted good dehydrated, but last year it did taste better. It's still going to be, I really like the dehydrated fruit it makes. I think the reason it was popular in the Old South, it's productive, seedless, and puts out a pretty fruit. This tree's a little unknown. It's a Just Fruits and Exotics. Unknown. Wow. I hope they didn't shoot me. My dog. I don't have a dog. Don't worry about that. There's an unknown in their bin of unknown labels. I think it may be Itchy Kajiro compared to the other Itchies I've got, but it's a nice non-astringent. Not sure what it is, but it's a non-astringent. This is, I think, is your traditional Fuyu, standard Fuyu, which is a good fruit. Not proven real cold hardy for me, but if it lives, it's got a place here. Now here we've got an American, hybrid, Rosianka, but it does have the American leaf type and more of the tree form. I need to maybe trim up the tree bottom next winter. It would be easier to mow around, but there's really a lot of fruit on this tree. It's hidden down there on the kind of in the foliage in that low canopy. Here's a graft I made this year on another tree that had lost to me on cold damage or subsequent loss. I think I got 4 out of 5 grafts to take on this. This has got JTO2 and Cassandra on it. Thank you, Tony. One of the grafts, 4 out of 5 took. One didn't take. One of the Cassandras didn't take, and there's one other grafted on there, which I'll probably take off. I didn't really expect everything to take. I don't really care for multi-graft trees that much, seeing I have most of the space to do what I want to. Here's an Itchy Kajiro. Puts out nice fruit, small compact tree. Kind of lopsided here right now. It held a few too many and I lost some branches on it last year, but see down there on that lower scaffold I lost some, but I'll probably trim it up anyway. Here's Nikita's Gift, another hybrid, actually a child of Rosianka. It puts on a lot of fruit, but it drops a lot. Dropped a lot early. Still holding on, hopefully a reasonable number. Really good fruit. I like it. Beautiful color when it's ripe. Good taste. Good cold hardiness. Nice compact little tree. Here's a Honan Red I grafted last year. There's no fruit on this tree yet this year, but it was grafted on an established rootstock. And that's a pokeweed. There's there was another JTO2 Cassandra, but my grafts didn't take on that. I tried to graft to that same rootstock last year and nothing took either too. I'm beginning to suspect maybe I have an issue. Coming over here, a few rows, goes through some pomegranates and some young planted figs. This is an Itchy Kajiro. I grafted from USDA wood. I'm probably crazy, but I'm trying a low growth bush pattern multi-trunked on it. Probably end up regretting that as the tree matured and weakened tree structure. Doesn't have fruit on it. I can't remember if it fruited last year for me or not. There's an ugly tree. I've let it fruit a couple times. Okigosho, I think's the pronunciation on it. It's one you rarely see growing. Small. It's a little smaller. It's a non-astringent, really small, kind of a little smaller but round. It takes a little bit different shape than the other non-astringent. Most of the other non-astringents have more of that flattish tomato-or shape. Here's a Tam Cam, which I did the same thing. It almost seems to want to grow horizontal. Maybe it's my grafting technique. This is from USDA wood as well. It's put on some fruit on it. It's been good. Doesn't look exactly like my Tam Cam from a different supplier last year, but I don't know. We'll see. These next two are both non-astringents. I bought them as labeled. This one has more of a rounder shape. This other one, no, actually that has more of the square shape. This one has more of the rounder shape of the fruit. They're both real good fruit. I think one of them came labeled as a Seijo, and the other, I forget what I bought it as, but I just questioned the reliability of that nursery after they send me a non-astringent Seijo, so I've kind of marked the labels off of them. This is a Giro. It actually was sold as Fuyu, but it's from L.E. Cook out in California. A lot of the West Coast trees sell Giro as Fuyu. L.E. Cook grafts most their Persimmon on Lotus, but from what I've read, they do graft their Giro onto native Virginiana. It's a nice tree. Hope it makes it. Here's another tree from them. For those of you, as some know, trying Lotus in the East Coast, hopefully a better luck than me. I think this is the one totally dead tree I have in my orchard. It was the one tree. What was it? Hanagosho or Hanagosho, I think. It should be grafted on Lotus, but it looks like a hole to dig next year. This is Guyambo with an N. I'm pretty sure it's the same as Guyambo, which is a really light, nice, large, non-astringent. Chestnut Hill, I just think Dr. Dunstan brought some material in early. I don't know if it was a spelling or what, but the tree's proving, and kind of suspected, is Guyambo and Guyambo. N and M are I believe, are the same trees. I did get some fruit off that, or I have a lot of these other, I have a lot of other trees besides this orchard planting. Beyond that, and I've got fruit off of one of those I actually have in pot last year. This is Guyambo. This is my replacement tree for the non-Guyambo from Just Fruits Exotics out there. It hasn't fruited yet. Hopefully it fruits true. Here's a Seijo. Love Seijo. See a little, it's got a few, yeah, it's got some fruit on it. My Seijo tree at my cabin really puts out great. Seijo's time-tested, proven, nicest astringent tree. This is going into a group of trees. Well, actually, we've been in the group of trees I planted last spring. This is Guangyang. I've eaten Guangyang before. I had a nice Guangyang. It was kind of top heavy. Foliage and fruit. Had a big gust of wind come in and broke it off down below the graft. That's one of those grafted last year. It was disappointing, but I did get to eat some fruit off of it before. Can't really remember, didn't eat that many. Oh, here's Izu. That's the Virginiana rootstock coming up. I have the worst luck with Izu. This is my third Izu tree to die on me. I will have Izu before I die. In fact, I do have Izu out in my front pasture on a multi-graft tree, but it's the majority of the tree. Izu's really early fruiting. I don't think I've ever gotten my own Izu tree I've tasted it, but I haven't got my own Izu tree to fruit yet. Kind of one of my nemesis. This one, pretty sure this is Giant Hanafuyu. Growing vigorously. I really liked it when I tasted it down at Just Fruits and Exotics. Yeah, it's Giant Hanafuyu. And I didn't expect it to be very cold-hearted, but it's done pretty good. It's done real good. It's real vigorous. Really nice fruit. Looking forward to it. Yeah, here's my other Mahakawa Jiro. I told you, the one that couldn't whether decide to live or die. Unfortunately, one of my favorite non-astringents. Maybe my favorite. But this little tree was put in at the same time, took more damage. I'll just have to work on my Mahakawa Jiro skills. Tam-Cam. This is a Tam-Cam from Just Fruits and Exotics. I guess so far, at least the immature fruit's looking. This one had more of a roundish fruit last year, but it is taking more of the shape of my other Tam-Cam from USDA. So hopefully just an anomaly. I have some other persimmons in some rows over there. I've mixed some persimmons in where some of my other trees have died. I've got a Proc American up here. I've got a Yates or Yule American. They have some fruit on them for the first time. I've got some other Sajos out in my pasture along the, there's a lot of native trees. I've got native persimmons here, and I've grafted over to several of them. Way out there, we're not walking out there, it's a long ways. I have other Nikita's gifts. I've got Celebrity. I've got, I even put a chocolate out there. I'm gonna try a little bit with pollination variant ones again, just to see what it does. I mean, I don't really want it in my main orchard. As I think I got another piece of JTO2 grafted out there. I've got the Izu. I've got Matsumoto Wasfuyu. I've got Lindy's Giant. I've got, I don't know. I got some others. I got Fire Crystal out there. And then I have patches out at my back field, my back pasture. I've got what I call my Scion farm back there, where there must have been a large Virginiana that was mowed down or something like that. It set up a bunch of rootstocks, and I've kind of just used it to keep wood alive. A lot of them are just covered with fruit this year. Don't know how that's going to reach long term. I've got like 20 trees planted probably in a very small diameter that came up from the resulting shoots of a main trunk that went down. Got several of them, newer ones over here, newer to me at least, graft in pots that I've got going too. But in some of my, I've got, let me see, I've got Deer Magnet, I've got another Proc. Deer Magnet, which I think is, I'm not going to quote the number, it's one of Jerry Lehman's, but I think it's like I'm not going to say it, maybe H29 or something like that. I've got several duplicates to what I mentioned. I got a few others too. I think most of them are in that row. I'm not sure. Oh, I've got the supposedly, I don't know, Hakao or something like that, that blue black persimmon. I've got Yamoto. I've got one I call Nima, which is the largest non-astringent, best tasting non-astringent I ever had. Story for a different day. Doesn't seem too cold hardy though, because I've had to search to reclaim it. And then I've got some rootstocks going here. Morris Burton, it's an American. I actually purchased that tree. That's from it's not some shings, some smaller shings, some other Guyan bows, just a bunch of other stuff. Strudel Dog in the North Georgia mountains. Strudel Dog out. Have a good day.